Hi everyone, my name is Danny and I'm a student at the University of Urbana-Champaign studying food science, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the food science principles behind a traditionally French pastry called a pain au chocolat, or what we may know as a chocolate croissant. So, what makes up the dough of a chocolate croissant? So, croissant doughs are typically made up of these ingredients. We have sugar, flour, butter, salt, yeast, and some bakers even use ice water to keep the temperature of the dough cool. So, once the dough is hydrated by the water, it is then kneaded so that the water molecules begin to evenly disperse throughout the dough, increasing the gluten content of it. Now, gluten is a elastic protein substance, especially wheat flour, that gives cohesiveness to the dough. So, after the dough is formed, it is then left to rest, which will cause it to rise. Now, the dough rises for a couple of different reasons. So, when the flour and the water met in the dough making process, enzymes began to break down the flour's starches into simpler sugars, which the yeast we added began to eat. Once the yeast begin to eat these simple sugars, it spits out carbon dioxide, which creates little air bubbles in the dough and causes it to expand in volume. So, after the dough has risen, it is then pressed down and can go through a process called traditional lamination. Traditional lamination is usually when the dough is spread extremely thin, a slab of butter is placed in the middle of it, and then the dough is folded onto the butter. It usually goes through a machine that will continue to fold the dough in on itself, creating layers of butter and dough while still keeping it extremely thin. Now, once we have the layered dough, this is when the chocolate batons for the pain au chocolat are added, and we can begin cooking. So, for cooking the dough results in the water within the dough begins to evaporate and create little steam pockets within the dough. This is what we can see right here, tiny little steam pockets within there. And at a certain temperature, gluten proteins will begin to denature and harden, creating a structure around the air pockets, keeping them formed even after they're done cooking. So, now that I've talked a lot about the pain au chocolat, let's eat it. It's very sweet. It's got a very flaky texture due to the air bubbles and even a little hard shell around it. It's a beautiful pastry, very sweet, buttery, leaves your fingers a little bit shiny eating after. All around great pastry, and I'm glad I got to talk to you about the food science principles of it today. So thank you so much for watching and have a great day.